Back when An Cao Hao first fell for Lu Jin Nian, she used to dream about seeing him every single day. But later, just the sight of him made her nervous. When he was far away, she could manage, but the moment he was near, her voice would vanish, replaced by anxiety and fear, especially after what had happened 3 months ago. Now he was sitting right behind her. She could feel his voice, his breath, his presence, everything, so clearly it made her palms sweat. Lu Jin Nian was discussing films and television shows with the director. He spoke very little, while the director rambled on enthusiastically. Yet, every time Lu Jin Nian did say something, it sent a shiver down An Cao Hao's spine. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore. She put down her chopsticks and, using the restroom as an excuse, whispered to Zhao Meng before standing up. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, Lu Jin Nian stood up at the same moment. The restroom was behind An Cao Hao. The banquet hall exit was behind Lu Jin Nian. As she turned around and he did the same, the two unexpectedly came face to face. The instant An Cao Hao met Lu Jin Nian's gaze, she panicked and quickly lowered her head, avoiding his eyes. They had been husband and wife for 5 months already, but their marriage was a secret. In the eyes of outsiders, they were just two unrelated strangers. An Cao Hao clenched her fists, trying to steady her pounding heart. Pretending not to know him, just like everyone else, she gave him a polite, distant greeting. "Hello, Mr. Lu." Lu Jin Nian remained motionless, his face expressionless, as if he hadn't heard her at all. After a long silence, he suddenly blinked, turned away, and walked past her without a word, heading toward the banquet hall exit. From start to finish, he never spared her even a single glance. It was as if the woman standing in front of him wasn't the wife he had been married to for the past 5 months. Lu Jin Nian had a cold personality, an intimidating aura that warned others to keep their distance. In the entertainment industry, he held enormous influence, which made everyone cautious and tense in his presence. Now that he had left, the atmosphere of the party gradually returned to normal. Still, because of his appearance, many couldn't help but start whispering among themselves. Lu Jin Nian really is a legend in showbiz. He's not just a legend, he's an unbelievable one. Can you believe that in 10 years of being in the industry, not a single scandal or dating rumor has ever involved him? And he built everything from nothing. I heard when he entered the industry, he was just a broke kid with no background and no connections. He endured countless hardships and swallowed his pride for nearly 4 years before finally catching a break. Since then, he's been unstoppable. Out of the top 10 online voted film masterpieces over the past 6 years, he starred as the lead in 6 of them and played supporting roles in 2 others.
Even more legendary than that, someone added, is what happened 3 years ago. Glory Media was on the brink of collapse, but he, Lu Jin Nian, used every cent he had saved over the years to buy out the company. Everyone thought he was digging his own grave and would end up broke. Who would have thought that in just 3 short years, Glory Media would rise to become the biggest film and television company in the country? Nearly every top celebrity today got their start at Glory Media. But I heard he's a bit eccentric, another chimed in. No dating, no socializing, always working alone. Still, no one in the industry these years has surpassed his looks, his talent, or his acting skills. No wonder people call him the nation's husband. The only question is, who will he end up marrying? Come on, he joined the industry at 18. He's 28 now. Even if he's not married, shouldn't he at least have a girlfriend? Why is there not even the tiniest rumor about him? Exactly. Not even a vague romantic lead or scandalous photo. You don't think he's not into women, do you? Zhao Meng, overhearing the conversations around her, couldn't help but glance at An Cao Hao, who was stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. She asked, "Wasn't he still filming in Rome? Why did he suddenly come back to Beijing?" Although An Chaohao and Lu Jin Nian's marriage was a well-guarded secret, Zhao had been her close friend and manager for years. So even though Zhao didn't name him, Anne knew exactly who he referred to. Her hand froze for a second. Then she looked up, met Zhao Meng's eyes, and replied honestly, "I don't know." "You don't know?" Zhao Meng stared at her in disbelief. "An Chaohao. Aren't you supposed to be his wife? He flew all the way from Rome to Beijing and didn't even tell you?" An Chaohao simply shook her head. No, he didn't. Suddenly, Zhao Meng remembered what had happened earlier that evening, when An Chaohao and Lu Jin Nian crossed paths and he didn't even glance at her. At the time, Zhao had assumed they were just acting distant to hide their marriage. But now, it didn't seem so simple. She frowned and asked again, "What kind of secret marriage is this really? When you don't see each other, how often do you even talk?" An Chaohao lowered her gaze, her eyelashes casting a delicate shadow across her face. She didn't answer the first part of Zhao Meng's question, because, in truth, there was no secret affair. Since their marriage 5 months ago, they had spoken no more than 3 times. And the most they'd ever spoken was that night 3 months ago, when she was tipsy, hugged him, confessed her feelings, and he responded by scolding her. Thinking about it, An Chaohao curled her lips into a faint, bitter smile. She didn't bother addressing the first part of Zhao Meng's question, and only replied to the second. "We haven't spoken in 3 months."
3 months? Zhao Meng widened her eyes in disbelief, her expression incredulous. An Chaohao, are you really his wife? Or is he treating you like a mistress? And honestly, calling you a mistress would be giving you too much credit. Even mistresses who sleep with their sugar daddies get something out of it. But look at you. You're his legal wife, yet from head to toe, your clothes, your accessories, not a single thing you wear even crosses 5 figures in value. And another thing, he's a powerhouse in the entertainment industry. If he wanted to, he could make you a star overnight. But what does he give you instead? A tiny supporting role until the end of time. An Chaohao didn't respond, but deep down, Zhao's harsh words struck a nerve and made her heart tremble. Zhao wasn't wrong. In fact, An wasn't even on par with a mistress. At least mistresses got their benefactor's attention or affection. She, on the other hand, slept with Lu Jin Nian only to make him even more angry and disgusted. She took a hard gulp of her coffee, trying to suppress the bitterness rising in her chest. Then, as if talking about someone else's relationship entirely, she said in a light voice, "You already know, we only got married out of necessity. There's no love between us. It's normal that we don't keep in contact." Zhao Meng and An Chaohao had known each other since elementary school. Though their personalities were very different, they remained close. Zhao knew quite a bit about An's past. She stared at her friend in silence for a while, watching her maintain her usual calm facade. Eventually, Zhao sighed and spoke again. "Cao Cao, back in middle school, there weren't many girls who could talk to him. You were one of the rare few. And back then, he wasn't bad to you either. He even went out with you several times. But after you both went off to college, you suddenly cut all contact. It's like you two became strangers overnight. Even when you see each other now, it's like you never met before. And sometimes, he even says cruel things to you. What the hell happened between you two?" What happened? For a moment, An Chaohao seemed dazed. She stared blankly at the coffee cup in front of her for a long time, before slowly shaking her head and whispering, "I don't know. In fact, over the years, I've probably wondered about it more than you have. What really happened back then?" When Lu Jin Nian exited the Beijing Grand Hotel, his assistant was already parked at the front entrance. The moment the assistant saw him, he quickly got out and opened the back door. Without a word, Lu Jin Nian bent down and stepped into the car. As the assistant shut the door, he instinctively glanced at Lu Jin Nian and noticed that the man's flawlessly handsome face was tense, his lips pressed tightly together. The assistant was so startled by Lu Jin Nian's expression that a chill ran down his spine. He hurriedly shut the door, climbed into the driver's seat, started the engine, and drove off in silence.
Lu Jin Nian's assistant had worked with him for many years. With just a slight change in expression or a tiny gesture, he could usually tell exactly what mood Lu Jin Nian was in. When the corners of his mouth tightened like that, 9 times out of 10, it meant his mood was terrible. But just earlier, after dinner, he had seemed fine, calm and indifferent as usual. How had just one short trip upstairs caused such a shift in demeanor? Though the assistant was puzzled, he didn't dare ask Lu Jin Nian what had happened. Only when the car merged onto the main road did he carefully speak up. "Mr. Lu, shall we head straight to the airport now?" Lu Jin Nian said nothing. The atmosphere inside the car grew even silenter. Lu Jin Nian always had a cool and distant temperament, naturally giving off an aura that was hard to approach. But right now, the coldness and pressure radiating from him were so intense, it seemed to chill the entire car. The assistant kept his eyes firmly on the road, not daring to speak again. He focused entirely on driving, though his nerves grew more and more strained. When the car transitioned from the second ring road to the third ring road, which is the Beijing highway system, the sky, which had been calm, suddenly began to rain. Trying to ease his own tension, the assistant spoke again. "It's starting to rain." As soon as he finished speaking, the rain began pouring harder. Inside the car, there was still no response from Lu Jin Nian, only the steady sound of raindrops tapping against the windows. After twice trying to start a conversation and receiving no reply, the assistant gave up completely and fell silent. The rain continued to intensify. Visibility was poor, and the car had to slow down. Just as they were about to take the exit toward the airport, Lu Jin Nian, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly spoke up. "Stop the car." His voice wasn't loud, but clear enough that the assistant heard him perfectly and hit the brakes immediately. The assistant turned around at him and asked, "Mr. Lu, what's wrong?" Lu Jin Nian didn't reply for a long time. He was staring out the window. Outside, a boy and a girl in school uniforms were running through the pouring rain. They finally found shelter beneath the awning of a building by the road. After standing there for about 2 minutes, a taxi pulled up. The 2 students quickly got inside and drove away. But Lu Jin Nian's gaze remained fixed on the awning where they had taken cover. The assistant had no idea what Lu Jin Nian was looking at. Seeing no further instructions, he cautiously asked again, "Mr. Lu?" Still, Lu Jin Nian didn't speak. He seemed lost in thought. Suddenly, a long-forgotten memory surfaced, one from many years ago. It had also been a heavy rainy day like this. He and An Chao Hao had taken shelter together in a run-down building. That was the first time they met. Neither of them spoke. They simply stood there quietly, watching each other. It was only when they noticed each other's school uniforms that they realized they attended the same school. "Mr. Lu?" It wasn't clear how much time had passed before the assistant's voice broke the silence again. Lu Jin Nian's brows twitched slightly. He slowly turned his head, his deep black eyes calm and expressionless, completely devoid of emotion.